Paradox Interactive has made some really bad decisions, and recently they have shown some regrets. Is this the beginning of the great Paradox reset? Hello there, strategy gamers, and welcome to my humble channel where I talk all things strategy games. Recently, Paradox Interactive's Chief Creative Officer Henrik Ferius and Deputy CEO Matthias Lilia has given a spate of interviews to the press about their experience and what went down the past year or two. First off, rather interesting that it wasn't Frederick Wester, the CEO, saying these things, which I feel he has taken the brunt of a lot of negativity from fans for all the bad decisions, and maybe getting some insight from people other than the CEO might have a more positive effect. Well, you would hope. Because it didn't start off well. On Vampire the Masquerade 2, which was initially announced back in 2019, the Paradox Interactive executive had said he wished the company never had anything to do with it. Wow, what great confidence. The game had one of the most turbulent developments in recent times, from firing the head designer and writers and eventually firing the studio working on the game, without getting the Chinese room, makers of Everybody's Got to Rapture and Amnesia, A Mission for Pigs, to work on it. The game is apparently now in a much better state, but it still needed another delay till the first half of 2025. I mean, I don't know about you, but when leaders of a company reveal that they aren't so hot about a game they spent millions acquiring the rights to, yeah, it doesn't leave me with confidence that they know what the hell they are doing. And that is exactly what we got from these info dumps from Paradox Interactive executives. Beyond making grand strategy games, they are absolutely clueless about running a publishing business. Now, they had admitted that they had a good couple of years with big hitters from Surviving Mars, The Age of Wonders and Planetfall, Pillars of Eternity, Battletech, and of course the phenomenon that was Cities Skylines. These wins made them become a bit more overconfident and blind to the dangers of taking risky projects. Paradox Interactive thought they can't fail. They pretty much admitted this in the interviews. And actually, this success came after years of pretty mediocre games. Don't forget, Paradox published games weren't really great, okay? There were some gems for sure, rough gems like Achtung Panzer Kharkov 1943, which actually I like the idea of that game, but I can't find that game anymore. And Warlock, Master of the Arcane, which their CEO Fred Wester himself had really said it was a great game. I mean, no one played that game, Fred. I'm sorry, but the vast majority were bad or average games, really. So, what happened during the golden age of Paradox Interactive, the publisher with those string of great games? Well, I think their publishing arm got really good at making calculated risks and backing projects that would profit them. However, after the switch of leadership with Ebba Jungerud taking over Fred Wester, there must have been some shift of talent. Some people left the company and some catastrophic failure in decision making. While to be fair, I wouldn't put 100 of the blame squarely on Ebba Jungerud. Remember, Fred Wester was still on the board of directors. She wouldn't be the sole person to make big company-wide decisions. I think they just slacked off with all the success they had, and some people just didn't do much thinking, really. One main point that was made in the interviews was that it's harder to sort of get a grasp if something wasn't working, especially with a new genre for Paradox. Paradox claimed they often waded into uncharted waters, and for them, and this meant that it was harder for them to gauge whether something was good, or it took them longer to make decisions, which led to delays in decisions for Life by You, which is the live sim from Rod Hambel and his team. They felt they should have stopped development earlier. Yeah, I know I voiced my displeasure at how they handled Rod Humble Studio by firing the staff with a public statement rather than talking to them. But I mean, I make no excuse for the game itself. It didn't look great, and there were definitely some really big competitions in the live scene genre coming in. But I call the excuse of not knowing about the genres that well a bit of a bullshit, really. A bullshit excuse. You're meaning to tell me one of the biggest game companies in Sweden, a public listed corporation, had no idea how to judge games just because it's not a genre their company usually makes? I mean, Pillars of Eternity wasn't a Paradox kind of game, but it worked because it had the pedigree of Obsidian Entertainment behind it. And Surviving Mars, by the way, a survival city builder, worked because Hemimont Games made a ton of games before it. This was a solid game studio with good work behind them. No, I mean, just no, they messed up big time, and this is just coming up with excuses for the sake of excuses. It's pretty pathetic if you ask me. Remember how they messed up Harebrained Scheme, which they were rumors that the Harebrained Scheme team wanted to make a sequel to Battletech 2. But no, Paradox Interactive executives said they don't want to pay so much for the license to make the game. I mean, if you look in the tactics space, a well-known license like Battletech would have been way more successful than building your own IP from scratch. And that has proven to be true with Lamplighters League, and yeah, also other tactic games from other companies too. The tactic genre is a tough space to be in these days, and I expect Paradox Interactive to have known this. They basically neutered their chance to actually make a successful game when they denied them the rights to get the Battletech license. Then you recently had the travesty that was Prison Architect 2, which is taking that much beloved introversion game and making a sequel that was in 3D. Now, no one asked for this game, but Paradox Interactive thought it was a great idea and went ahead with it, only to then part ways with the people developing the games and then getting someone else to develop it, and now only to put it as indefinitely delayed. A game that was supposed to be out like just a couple of months back, it's pretty much as good as cancelled if you ask me. I'm just skimming the surface here, but no matter how Paradox tries to paint this, it was their mistake. Catastrophic mistakes that ruined companies, I might add. So when they say they want to focus on their core games and games that are based on their pillars, which tends to be more strategy game focused, is this a good thing? I think we all agree that we know Paradox Interactive as a strategy game company, so projects like Vampire the Masquerade 2 might seem like an odd choice, or maybe a distraction even for them. Personally, I don't believe game companies have no way of breaking out of a single genre type. As long as you attract the talent that can get you there and you're willing to go through growing pains, it's not going to be easy taking on new genres of games and stuff. There's going to be growing pains in these uncharted waters before getting good. So it's clear to me Paradox Interactive only went in aggressively only in one aspect, but failed to grow the company to deal with the wider catalog of games. And yes, they took risks that majority of them didn't pan out, honestly. So it's only natural for them to now retreat to the stuff that they are familiar with. I do think this is a good thing. I mean, acknowledging that you suck at this other stuff and say, okay, let's focus on what we are really good at. But I wonder though, what their shareholders think about that though. Because the past few years has been pretty horrendous for them financially. Not as bad as in like they made a loss or anything, but profits were down 90%. Yeah, not good. If you're a shareholder, you'd be worried. Writing off games like Lamplighters League, Life by You, and Prison Architect 2 probably cost them hundreds of millions, eating away at their revenue. Maybe Paradox will say, okay, let's get back to our games and focus on making Europa Universalis 5 the best game we've ever made. Or, let's pump up those DLCs for our games to make up for the loss of revenue because we want to publish less games. I don't think this is going to be a quick turnaround for the company. It will probably take a couple of years. I mean, acknowledging you've made a mistake is a first step. I'd admit that. But they've got a lot to do to win back the trust of their fans. And this is where I will leave this. You tell me in the comments, what do you think of Paradox Interactive's situation? Do you think that they can bounce back from this fast, or is this the beginning of the end? Now, I'm not completely writing them off yet. But I'll keep a close eye on their next projects. Maybe try the game that they hate so much, because they hate it so much. Vampire the Masquerade 2 when it comes out, or if it ever comes out. Anyway, another company going through some hard times, maybe not as hard as Paradox, but challenging nevertheless, is Creative Assembly. I did a video on them right over here, talking about their own struggles. Do check that video out. If you like this video, do click the like button and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it so much, very much. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.